We've got another project on the bench here to put together today. This is my take on a piece of Tektronix test gear, a peak-to-peak detector, part number 067-0625-00. You'll find a link down below in the description to the TekWiki article on this item, and you can see how it works, and there's some service manuals there as well. So here are the actual PCBs themselves. This is, of course, sponsored by my good friends at PCBWay, and they've sent through some really nice PCBs. Never had a problem with their production quality, always top notch. So you can see there, nice gold plate. I pulled the solder mask and silk screen off of the trace just to keep the impedance all even. We've got our input edge launch BNC is going to be mounted there, and our outputs over here, same edge launch BNCs. Try and keep the reflections off the PCB as much as I can. But it comes in here, goes through some rectifier diodes, capacitors and resistors, straight through to the output here. We've got some batteries that mount here and here. I'll explain how this all works in just a moment. And on the back, we've got the bill of materials. I like to do that if I've got some space, because in the future, if I'm repairing something and go, oh, R3's gone bad, so I'll flip it over. Oh yeah, R3's 100 ohm, no problems, just go and replace it. Don't have to dig around for all my old notes and whatnot to figure out what is what. I've gone for a coplanar waveguide as well, all the way. I only need to do it just in this little area here, but I went all the way just for the fun of it. I got all the via stitching up here where I need the high frequency performance. And the thing about coplanar waveguides is that on FR4 at 50 ohms at 1.6 mil thickness, you need the ground plane really close to the trace. In this case, it's about 0.15 millimeters, I believe. But PCBWay, they've come through and they've been able to do that all the way with no real problems at all. Looks nice and even, and yeah, it's come up really, really nice. All the gold plating there, nice and shiny. So I'm really happy with that. So that's no problems at all. Now, PCBWay do have promotions and competitions going quite regularly, so do check their website periodically and see what they got going on. At the moment, they actually have it's a call for PCB design tutorials. So if you've got a PCB design that you've done and it's got something a little bit funky or a little bit esoteric, or you think you can write a tutorial that will help some other people out to design their PCBs, check it out, write a tutorial, and if it's been accepted, you'll get some store credit to get some of your PCBs made. So get a little incentive there to help out the maker community and get some information out to help others design their projects too. So yeah, down in the links below, you'll find a direct link to that promotion. So this is basically just a little calibrator used for calibrating things like levelled sine wave generators. A levelled sine wave generator is basically just a function generator, a sine wave generator, that has a feedback loop, so it monitors its own output. So if you set, say, an amplitude of 1.2 volt peak to peak, you can sweep it up and down through its entire frequency range, and it would always stay at 1.2 volts peak to peak amplitude. Not all function generators are capable of doing that. You change the frequency up and down, you have to adjust the amplitude to suit. So that needs to be calibrated, of course. So what this allows you to do is, if you have a function generator, a levelled sine wave generator, and you want to measure to make sure that the amplitude isn't altering as you go up and down through the frequency range, it can be a little bit tricky to get something to measure that accurately, and this allows you to do that. This acts as an adapter between your levelled sine wave generator and a standard digital multimeter. So here's our schematic. We've got our input BNC on the left here, and our positive BNC output on the right, and negative BNC output on the right down the bottom there. So basically the way this works is it's working around a baseline voltage of 1.2 volts. So as we put our 1.2 volt sine wave into the input, the positive half of the waveform will be rectified by CR1 at the top there, and the negative half of the waveform will be rectified by CR2 at the bottom. These conduct on the positive and negative half of the waveforms and charge these capacitors C1 and C2 and C5 and C6. With that 1.2 volt coming in on the input, these capacitors are charged to 0.3 volts or thereabouts. Now over on the right hand side, you'll see we've got BT1 and BT2. They're two AAA batteries, and with these resistors, this little section here is set to apply 0.3 volts to the signal. So we've got 0.3 volts DC in these capacitors, and this battery is applying 0.3 volts as well in opposition. So at 1.2 volts, we get 0 volts output because it's all cancelled out. If we increase the input by 1%, that's going to cause a difference between what's the charging in the capacitors, the voltage in the capacitors, and what we're applying with our battery reference. And that will equate to a 10 millivolt output between positive and negative here. If we go down by 1%, it will mean we got negative 10 millivolts. If we put in plus 10%, then we got 100 millivolts difference. So we can see how far we're deviating from our reference 1.2 volts easily with a DC voltage output. So here it is, all put together. It's a standard SMD construction, nothing too fancy at all. Just the battery holders are not SMD, they're through-hole. The BNCs are basically SMD, but they're like an edge launch. So when I put it together, I screw them into the end plates, put the PCB in with some foam underneath just to hold it up, and against the legs on the BNCs, screw it all together, and then solder them in place so they're all perfectly aligned. That way I'm not don't have the end plates too far in or too far out, and I'm not putting stress on anything when I screw it together. So that's pretty much ready to go. I've also given a bit of a calibration. I won't bore you with the process. It's a bit of a tweak here, tweak there, tweak here, tweak there, change this, change that, you know, back and forth, back and forth. But I've got it pretty close. Now my function generator that I'm using is just a 3325A. It's a HP unit, general purpose, 20 megahertz unit. It's not particularly stable because it doesn't have a ovenized crystal reference or anything like that. So our readings will be a little bit here and there, but it'll be good enough for the demonstration. The instructions say to calibrate this, you need a leveled sine wave generator, but I need this to calibrate my leveled sine wave generator before I use that to calibrate this. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, but the 3325A, which I've got, will be good enough just to show you how this thing works. So let's hook it up, in and out, and we'll see how it performs. Alright, because it's a little bit difficult to put the benchtop multimeter on the screen at the same time as looking down at the bench, I'll inset the screen here. I'll just take some photos of each stage and put it somewhere here. So at the start, I've got the function generator coming in through a 50 ohm terminator, because this is 50 ohm terminated. We're on both terminated at 50 ohms, so we're reading the same thing. And it comes out here to my benchtop multimeter. And we want 1.2 volts to start with at 50 kilohertz. So I've got that all set. And on the screen there, you can see I'm getting 0.424272-ish volts. And that's pretty much 1.2 volt peak to peak as RMS. RMS is 0.42 blah, 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 blah. So if we plug this now into here, and we remove all this and get this all hooked up, we will have hopefully close to 0 volts, because that's our reference voltage. Our reference voltage is the 1.2 volts. Okay, so I've got the input here, 1.2 volt peak to peak at 50 kilohertz as specified by the manual, and we should be reading 0.0 millivolts out. These two are connected to the positive and the negative input of the multimeter, and the shield is just left unconnected because it's shielded back through this way. So we're just taking the center of the positive straight into the positive side or the high side of the multimeter, and the negative out here into the negative or the low side of the multimeter. So we've got basically a floating measurement. And you can see there we're getting pretty much spot on. It is a little bit up and down as I'm looking at it, but it is pretty close. So I'm happy with that. So let's move on to the next step, where we'll up the input voltage coming in by 10%, and we should see the output rise by 100 millivolts. All right, so once again we've got it hooked up to the function generator, hooked up to the multimeter to calibrate the output, make sure we're getting the right voltage. We should be getting 1.3343 volts, which that's peak to peak, which equates to 0.47174 RMS. We're getting 0.4716, so it's close enough for us today. So let's hook this back into here and see if we get 100 millivolts out. So if we look at that, all hooked up through the peak to peak detector as normal, we got 105.5 millivolts, so that's looking pretty good. We should be within 10%. So yeah, we're within the ballpark. Thumbs up. And with a lid on with a nice little label, that is done. Beautiful. Looks almost professional. So that's all we got for today. Special thanks to PCBWay, of course, for providing the beautiful PCBs. And I hope you found that informative and somewhat interesting. We'll see you in the next one.